And hello YouTube, this is Thomas Judge back once again with another installment of my ongoing weekly series, Valiant to the Last, in which I read every single Valiant Deluxe Edition hardcover, one at a time. We've now reached the end of the series, and I've read all the Deluxe Edition hardcovers, and I'm now just mopping up the final few uncollected series. In this particular case, I'm finishing up the Shadow Man universe, and today's read is the 2019 5-issue miniseries Dr. Mirage. Written by Magdalene Visaggio and Nick Robles, neither of whom I'm familiar with at all. I didn't know anything about this series going in other than the absolute banging cover art. The artwork for these issues, on the covers at least, is absolutely staggering. I knew nothing else going into it. I did, whilst researching the interview, come across a particular blurb or soundbite by the creator, Magdalene, where she said, I've been dying to write Dr. Mirage. She's a really fascinating character existing on the edges of a vast and undefined magical universe. And that in and of itself kind of encapsulates what I tend to think about these fantastical stories, which is that the magic universe and the rules of magic and all these various things to do with Valiant are really poorly defined. And clearly she's agreeing with that here. And I find that kind of hard to stomach. Having said that, I have quite enjoyed some of the Dr. Mirage comics that I've read so far. And so I thought, with no further ado, given that I love these covers, let's see what the story is like. What is it like? It starts strong. Like the first issue is a strong issue. It is well written, it's engaging, it's got a good hook. One thing I will point out is that this doesn't seem to pick up at all from the cliffhanger at the end of the last series that we were just reading. Um, to do with Dr. Mirage. So it just feels really strange. This is not a follow on from Second Lives in any way because that left with a bit of a cliffhanger, or rather with a bit of a kind of unresolved aspect. This starts in a completely different place. There's something else that has happened with respect to Dr. Mirage and her relationship with her husband that I don't fully understand anyway. It's like, did this happen off screen or did I not see it? It feels like a weird kind of choice to have. Nonetheless, the story starts off very strong. The first issue is very strong, and it then just kind of moses on really. Whilst at the end of the first issue, I was kind of thinking to myself, "This is great. Maybe I'm going to get the custom bound." By the end of it, I was just kind of like, I don't know. It was more of the same. It was okay. It had a reasonably well controlled storyline, but again, as I often say, I'm not a fantasy fan. So when I say I found this quite unfulfilling, take that with the caveat of where it's come from. It's come from me. I generally don't find fantasy something that I'm that into. So the fact I found this unfulfilling and pretty underwhelming, not a big deal. Cover artwork amazing. First issue very strong. After that, just a slow decline until it got to the end of the series. The series does end with, whilst not a cliffhanger, it ends with a very similar kind of dangling thread as the previous Dr. Mirage miniseries, Second Lives, which we talked about a couple of weeks ago. And in that sense, I'm kind of like, really, word, we're doing this again. We're having another dangling thread, which is almost certainly not going to get resolved. Like, what's up with that? Um, but having said that, that's how this one ends. This is the last Doctor Mirage focused comic of the Valiant universe, at least I'm aware of. So yeah, these 5 issues are available in a trade paperback. Um, and if you are a fan of this kind of like fantasy stuff, it's worth checking out. It's definitely not bad. It's just not good, in my opinion. But if you're a fantasy fan and if you're a Doctor Mirage fan, this may well be right up your street. Okay, keeping it short, keeping it sweet. All that's left to add is what the homework for next week is going to be. Next week's homework is going to be um, the Shadowman series from 2021, which is a 7-issue maxi series of Shadowman written by Cullen Bunn. And that's what we're going to be reading for next time. So, again, we're getting right to the very, very end of the Shadowman thread. Join me in the ride. I'll see you next week. All right, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, please like, comment, subscribe. As always, please follow me on Twitter at I am Thomas Judge, where I will post a daily review of whatever comics I've been reading. You can get an idea of what I'm up to on the channel. And as always, please support the channel by heading over to Amazon.com and checking out my prose novel about superheroes. It's a completely original piece of work. The first episode in it is called Arrivals, and the series as a whole is called No Gods or Kings. You can find an excerpt of that on my website, nogodsorkings.com. Until next time, everybody, stay classy.